Facebook Livers, welcome to the class. So we'll get ourselves moving. It's our VE Day Pilates celebration today. So we'll allow ourselves to find a space. I'm just doing my final bits of computering, making sure that I can see where everyone is. And hopefully you can all see me clearly as well. So just a little heads up, I've had a few people saying to me that they are feeling a little bit tight in their bodies at the moment. Oh, hi Christian, yay! Sore in their bodies. Hi Trudy. So we're all feeling a little bit tight and uncomfortable at the moment, and I'm also really aware that none of us can go and see our osteopaths, chiropractors, physios that we normally would do. So I wanted to do a class today where we just take a little bit of time to get into our bodies and give them a little bit of a recharge. So that's what I'm going to try to do today. Give us a little bit of a sort of check-in to the body and not push too hard. On that note, I've had a little chat with some of my Zoomers, and they're telling me different bits and bobs that are feeling tight or stiff, or things that we might want to have a little look at. So I'll have a look at those bits and bobs today too. Hi Diane, yay! It's VE Day. Yes, I've got my Union Jack hot pants on. Let's do it. So, bringing the feet underneath the hips. And I'll see Janet zooming me in because she can't believe I've got hot pants on. Either that or she's turning the camera off because it's too frightening. So let's allow the feet to be just underneath the hips, and we'll let the toes point forwards. And we can allow the eyes to close and just take a few nice gentle breaths. And as we breathe nice and gently, we'll allow that breath to come wide and full into the rib cage and into the lungs. So we'll allow that breath to flow wide and full. And we'll allow that breath to really flow deep and low. So we're looking at getting that breath flowing all the way down to the pelvis. See if you can feel the breath nice and low, nice and deep. Morning Francis, morning Joyce. Yay! You're all here. And as you allow that breath to descend down into the pelvic bowl, we'll allow ourselves to find a sense of release into the hips. Find a little bit of softness into the knees, into the ankles, and allowing your awareness to come into your feet. We'll just allow our weight to gently track over the front of our feet, and we'll gently track into the back of the feet. And let's take it through those two extremes. And we'll find that place where our weight's right in the centre of the 2 feet. And we'll gently connect up through the arches of the feet. And when we connect up through the arches of the feet, just allow yourself to soften in through the knees, so that we're not locking back into the kneecaps, but we've got that sense of softness. And then let's bring our awareness to our pelvis, gently tipping the pelvis forwards and tipping back. Good, taking it through those 2 extremes. And then if you imagine that your tailbone has got a plumb line attached to it, you're going to allow that tailbone to drop gently towards the space between the heels. And then we'll just draw up through the front of the core, through the front of the torso, engaging in through those core muscles. Feel that as you draw in through the abdomen, you're also drawing up through the centre of the pelvis. And we'll allow ourselves to lengthen really tall through the spine. And then take a moment to imagine that your head is a helium-filled balloon and it's floating up towards the sky. So the top of the head floats up and the chin stays nicely parallel to the floor. Beautiful. Let's allow the shoulders to lift. And we'll roll the shoulders gently back and down. And again, the shoulders lift. And we roll back and down. Taking 2 more like that. Good, and then we'll allow those shoulders to ease towards one another and sink down towards the tailbone. Take a deep breath and let the right arm float forwards and up. Breathing in as we float the arm gently down. Changing over to the opposite side. Lifting and floating gently down. Good, keeping that going for me. And then let's allow ourselves, as the arm floats down, the other one starts to float up, so you're like a toy soldier. Lovely, good. One more on each side. Lovely, and then releasing the arms back by our sides. Taking a deep breath for me there, let the right ear dip down towards the right shoulder. Deep breath in, the head lifts up and over to the opposite side. And again, the head lifts up, over to the right side. And up and over to the second side. And as we bring the head into the centre, let's allow the head to gently rotate round to the right side. Coming into the centre and rotating around to the second side. And once again in each direction. And then we bring the head into the centre. Let's take a little roll down through the spine. So we'll just allow the chin to tuck towards the chest. We'll allow the head to become heavy. And we'll start to gently roll down through the spine. Coming down through the vertebrae bit by bit, piece by piece. Nice deep breath in and breathing out as we roll up through the spine. And when we get there, we'll lift the shoulders, roll the shoulders back and down, let both arms float forwards and up. This time let the arms open wide as you bring the arms back by your side. And again, releasing through the top of the head, rolling gently down through the spine, coming down through the vertebrae. Take a nice deep breath at the bottom. And then breathing out as we roll up through the spine. Head comes on top, we lift the shoulders, roll the shoulders back and down and allow the arms to float forwards and up. Breathing in as the arms float back down. Oh, I went the wrong way, sorry, you all went right. Rolling down through the spine. I'll do it correct this time, guys. Nice deep breath at the bottom and rolling up through the spine. We lift the shoulders, roll the shoulders back and down, letting both the arms float forwards and up. And then take those arms nice and wide as you bring the arms back by your side. We'll take a little side bend from here. Letting the right fingertips glide down the side of the leg, head extends out and away. And we breathe in as we come through the centre, up and over to the opposite side. And again, coming through the centre. Top of the head reaches out and away. And coming through the centre, extending out to the second side. Lovely. If you want to add in the top arm, do. So we allow the arm to gently lift up and over. Coming through the centre and up and over. As you come into the centre, draw the fingertips in towards one another. Letting those shoulders glide down the back. Again, soften through the knees so they're not locking. And then we'll let the rib cage gently rotate round. Breathing in as we return back to the centre. Now, I want you to imagine that you've got a light shining out of your belly button and you're trying to keep that light shining directly towards me. Or directly forwards, should I say. Shoulders are gliding down. And finishing off there on that second side. And as you come back there, let's allow both the hands to come in front of us. Shoulders gliding gently down the back. Taking a nice deep breath, strong in the core, we'll allow the arms to open out to the side. Breathing in as the arms return. Good. So I've got some shoulder issues going on in the group of people that are working with me today. So I want to have a little look at seeing if we can find that range of movement through the shoulder. I've also got some hip and knee issues that we want to have a little look at. So let's see about that right hand gently circling around and coming above the head. And circling back around, changing over to the other side. So you know your own body, and you can listen into your own body. If there's anything that you're thinking, well, actually my shoulder's feeling pretty horrible and this movement feels horrible, just take it to the point where it feels okay and you can gently work from that place. Don't feel as though you have to push or force your arms in or legs into any position that it doesn't want to go into. Finishing off on that second side, we'll press the hands away from us, shoulders gliding down the back, and then we'll take 3 little circles. We've got 3 and 2 and 1, back the other way, 3 and 2 and 1, releasing the arms, give them a little shake out. And then we'll just see if we can find the hands behind us. Maybe it's the elbows we're finding, so it might be that we clasp the hands together, pulling the shoulders together. It might be that we find the elbows. Let's take a moment here to just check that we're still connected through the tummy and that the tailbone is still descending down, not tipping outwards. So you've got that sense of descending down. From there, nice deep breath, head tips over to the right side. And coming through the centre, up and over to the second side. And again, coming through the centre, up and over to the right side. And up and over to the second side. Good. Coming into the centre there, let the arms gently release and give them a little shake out. So we're going to take a little bit of squat work, strengthening through the bottom, strengthening through the core. We're going to want to allow ourselves to hinge at the hips and at the knees. So it's as though you've got a chair just behind you. Squeezing in through the tummy and take a seat, as if you're going to sit down on a chair. And then you allow yourself to lift. And we sink on down. And we lift. We're just going to do 2 more, because if your knee's already aggravated, then it might not be very happy with you doing this one. But it will be worth it to keep them going. Okay, so from there, we're going to allow the right leg to extend out to the side. So this is all that looking at the glutes at the bottom, strengthening the bottom. And a cheeky bit of balance work thrown in for good measure. Nice. One more there, changing over to the other side. And we extend out to the side. Drawing back in, strong through the tummy. Good. Seeing if you can lengthen up really tall. That's it, nice. Lovely. Well done, guys. Good. Give it a little shake out. So, coming into the arms for me once again. Allow yourself to find a little bit of energy through this hand. So the hand's going to flex so that you've got the fingertips pointing forwards. And we're just going to use one arm at a time. So relax the other arm. Let the fingertips point back behind you and then pointing forwards. Point back behind you. Good. Notice if your shoulders started to rise. I want you to see if you can keep that shoulder gliding down. Now this time we're going to keep the fingertips pointing forwards. The outside of the hand is going to push out and away. We've got the shoulder gliding down the back. Yeah, good. And floating down. Some of us will get to a certain point and that will be enough. Others of us, you'll lift all the way to the head and that'll be marvellous too. Just starting to notice where that place is, where either the shoulder lifts up or your body compensates by leaning away. And finishing off there, give it a little shake out. And then changing over to the other side. Energy through the fingertips, and the fingertips point back behind us. And then pointing forwards. Yeah, good. So as we work through the hand, we're going to keep that shoulder gliding down the back. And then the outside finger opens out to the side. Good. As much energy through the hand as you can. Some of us feel a bit pings and needly. Some people get more of a hot sensation up the arm. Don't worry, but just take it to that place before you go, oh, too much. That's it. Lovely. And give it a little shake out. Wonderful. So just finishing off with our little bit of a balance combination. Let's allow the right knee to lift. And we'll look for a little openness through the hips. So we'll allow that knee to open out to the side. And then we'll draw the leg back in and float the leg back down. Changing over to the other side, the leg gently lifts. Knee opens out to the side. Coming back to the centre. And floating down. Good. Let's do that again. Knee opens out. Now as the leg comes back in, this time we're going to stretch, push through the heel and push the leg away, just as we did with our side leg lifts a moment ago. Same on the other side. Knee lifts. And we push the leg away and push out to the side. Lovely. Now if you've got room, you might want to watch first of all. We let the knee open out to the side. We lengthen the leg away from us. You can take a little lean and lunge and we'll catch it. You might need to just rearrange yourself slightly, I don't know. We lift, the knee opens out to the side. Draw the leg back in, stretch that leg out and away. This is the way you're going. You're going towards the foot and sink and come back in. Good. And again, on each side, we lift. Knee opens out to the side. Drawing the leg back in. Sweeping the leg away. Big step forward to the side. And we'll see if we can catch it. And floating down. Good. One more. Knee opens out to the side. Drawing the leg back in. Push through the heel of the foot. And lunging down, and we lift. Oh, didn't quite catch it there, sorry. Lovely. So we're going to take our roll down through the spine, and I just want us to gradually and gently bring ourselves onto the floor. So we'll take a deep breath in to start with. As we breathe out, let's release through the top of the head, and we'll just take that time to bring ourselves gently down. When we get there, take a moment to really crease into your knees, and then we'll roll back up again. So we'll gradually work through that, taking a breath as you get to the top. And breathing out, rolling down through the spine. Softening through the knees, we'll walk the hands forwards a little bit this time and just play around with putting the weight onto the hands and then coming back in. Let the head be heavy, rolling up through the spine. Nice deep breath and breathing out as we float back down. So we're going to bring the hands to the floor, we're going to gently bring ourselves forwards. You might allow yourself to come all the way to a kind of plank position. You might find that puts a strain on the back, and if that's the case, then don't go quite so far. So we're really allowing ourselves to wake up those abdominal muscles as we start to find that walking out movement. Just one more. So wherever we are, whichever position we're in, we're just going to allow the knees to be lifted a little bit away from the floor. Yeah. So we'll take a moment there. We're just going to take 2 gentle breaths. It might be that you're in a full push-up position. It might be that you're on more of a hands and knees position. Either way, it's not going to be easy. Scoop up through the tummy and then lower the knees. And wherever the hands are, they're going to come underneath the shoulders now. So the knees are underneath the hips, hands underneath the shoulders. We'll let the shoulders glide down the back. We'll let the head extend out and away. And we're going to really draw up through the tummy. Let's take a cat stretch here. So we'll push the back up into the sky, let the head drop between the arms, tailbone points down, and then we lengthen the head and the tail away from one another. And again, we push the head up, push the back up, release the head, and lengthening out and away. Just take 2 more like that. How's that going? Good. Looking to get as much movement through the spine as you can. And then we'll combine this with our thread in the needle. So we'll take a nice deep breath, the right hand lifts and we weave the hand through the gap between the hand and the knee. We breathe in as we let the arm return. And then we change over to the other side, feeding the arm through and coming back in. Good, so we're changing sides each time. Lovely. So if you feel you want to, we're going to allow the arm to open out for the sky and then feeding the arm gently through. And coming back in. Last one there, let's allow ourselves to sit back onto our heels. We'll lengthen the arms in front of us, we'll rest the forehead and breathe nice and gently. Good, lovely. Now just to take a little side extension, we'll walk the hands gently across to the right side, reach with the left arm, take a nice side bend. And then we'll walk the hands over to the opposite side and reach with that right arm and pull through the right hip. And then walking the hands in, walking the hands gently in so you come to that kneeling position. So this one's an interesting one because some people find this really easy to sit in and others of us really hate it. Those of us that hate this position generally find that the thighs are now screaming at you and there's kind of a feeling all the way across the body that it's pretty horrific. So, you know, I understand, just let's stay there for just a few more seconds. Let's tuck the toes under. For those of us that feel really comfortable in that previous position, this one generally doesn't feel quite as nice. It really lengthens out through the soles of the feet. So if you're sort of looser through one chain, I think you might be tighter through this one because this one's excruciating. But we've got 3 more breaths just to make sure that we're all even. We've equally had a miserable time. Let's allow the shoulders to release. Let's release the toes. Let's allow the right leg to take a big lunge forwards. Now, as you lunge that right foot forwards, we're going to see if we can allow ourselves to really release out in through the hips. So we're taking a little forwards and backwards tipping action here. Yeah, so just as we did before where we were tipping the pelvis. And this might be enough for us to get a nice stretch into the hip. Others of us will want to go a bit further, in which case we'll take the foot a little bit further forwards and we'll bring our pelvis forwards. The opposite hand can find the floor. So, for those of us that are doing lots of walking at the moment, those of us that have just taken up jogging, this one's really good. Really want to make sure we're staying nicely lengthened through those hip flexors. And then changing over sides. Let's allow ourselves to bring the other foot forwards You can balance yourself on the ground if you need to, otherwise just sweep it through. Yeah, good, and then a little tip under and release. Tipping under and release. Good. And then bringing our weight forwards if you want to, otherwise stick with the tip in and seeing if we can really ease into that hip there. With the shoulders gliding down the back. And then releasing. And we're going to allow ourselves to come onto our fronts. We'll allow ourselves to go wide with the elbows and just rest down on one side of the head, one side of the face. I'm going to rest down onto sort of my right ear. Now, some of us find that this is too much of a strain in the neck, that it's too much rotation, in which case you can allow your nose to be pointing towards the floor to start off with, and that's fine. So the elbows are bent and the fingers are pointing forwards, and if you're comfortable to, just allow yourself to release down there and take a moment to rest. So I appreciate that some of us are quite tight across the chest, so that might feel like a bit of a struggle. Seeing if you can just allow those elbows to go nice and wide, fingers are pointing forwards, and while we're here, we'll take a moment to just check into those deep core muscles. We're going to imagine that there's a precious little egg underneath our belly button. We're not going to squash him. It's a tiny egg. It's not like an ostrich egg or anything. It's quite small. So just look after it. Nice deep breath. The head lifts. Let your head rotate so that you can allow the opposite ear to rest down onto the floor. Take a few breaths there. Now, if you're not switching the head from side to side, if that feels too intense on the neck, we'll just take some little breastbone lifts and floating down. If you're switching sides, let's switch over now. We'll start to make a little bit of a pattern of it. So we're lifting, we'll switch the head back over to the right side. And we'll lift, switch the head back over to the left side. Now, keeping a little squeeze in through the tummy, we can allow ourselves to make this movement a little bit larger each time. We can maybe allow the arms to just hover an inch away from the floor. And let's take two more like that. And then if we can do, let's hold it up there. Let's pull the elbows back towards the rib cage and then stretch the fingers forwards as if you are Superman. And one more, drawing the elbows back. Reach the fingers forwards as if you are Superman. And then draw the hands back. Bring them in front of you and rest your forehead onto your hands. Good, nice and deep with the breath when you're there. Now, you've still got that precious egg underneath your belly button that you're going to look after. Take a nice deep breath for me there. As you breathe out, you're going to stretch the right leg away from you, energizing through the right leg. Give it a little squeeze in the bottom to instigate that action and floating back down. Change to the other side, squeeze in through the bottom. And we lift. And floating back down. Good. Keep that going for me. Now I want you to notice whether you get a little squeeze in the bottom to instigate the action. Really see if you can fire this movement from the bottom each time. Finishing off on that left side. Let's allow ourselves to release there and come onto your side. Now, I'm going to assume you're coming onto your left side, but if you're not, that's fine. just work on the side that works for you. So I'm going to keep referring to it as if you're on your left side. So when we're there, we're just going to take a little look down and make sure we can see our toes, because we can normally see our toes when we're standing in a nice long line. My bottom arm is lengthened and I'm resting my head down onto my bottom arm. We take a nice deep breath, we're strengthening in through the core muscles, taking that breath, and we'll allow both the legs to lengthen away from us. If you find this creates a pinching in the lower back or a sort of pinching or a strain in the neck, let the bottom leg rest on down. You might even need the bottom leg to be bent. But if we can, we'll stretch and lengthen both those legs away from us. Lovely. Take a deep breath. We'll allow that top leg to gently lift and lower, and then stretch forwards. So you're making like an L shape through the leg. We lift, we lower, and then the leg stretches forwards and coming back. Good. Last one. Good. So from there, this top arm is going to reach up towards the sky and come all the way over the head. Breathing in as the arm comes back by our side. Let's do 3 more like that. If you want to add in a little side bend to create that window underneath your bottom armpit, you can do that by all means. That's it, Janet. Nice. Good. Good. And last one here. Let's float the legs down. Let's soften in through the knees. Good. Scooping in through the tummy, top hip tips forwards. So again, lots of work for the glutes. Squeezing in through the bottom, let's allow the top knee to lift. And we lower. And we lift. And lower. Good. Give me 3 more. See if you can really pull the tummy in really nice and tight. Good. And then gluing those knees together, both feet lift and lower, and we lift and lower. Good. And last one there. So we'll take a nice stretch for the front of the thigh. So let's take hold of our right foot, holding onto that foot, and we'll stretch the knee away from us. Nice and deep with the breath, yeah. So some of us struggle to find that, to get hold of the foot, in which case I've just been reminded by Gary up there that you can always wrap the band around your ankle and hold on to the band, and then you can get that stretch without being able to reach the foot or the ankle. So again, this is a really good one for if you're suddenly taking up running, or you're suddenly walking a lot more than you would have done. Even if you're, super fit, if you suddenly change the activity that you usually do, it's worth adding in some extra different stretches maybe. So let's allow ourselves to release the legs there. If you've got a cushion, by all means pop the cushion underneath your head. I've got my Union Jack cushion today. Let's allow the head to rest down. We'll take our opening up like a book. Nice deep breath and let the top arm open. And we breathe in as the arm returns. And opening up through the top arm. I have of course promised Anna that she's allowed to nick these leggings off, these hot pants off me as soon as I've finished class today. And truth be told, they fit her a lot better than they fit me. And release in there. Good. If you want to, just taking a little chalk circle so the top hand stays connected to the floor. See how far you can bring it around before you get that little blip moment. There probably will be a little moment where it just lifts away from the floor, and that's okay. But it feels really nice across the front of the chest. If you find that's not really a movement that you're enjoying, then you can always take your opening up like a book instead. Finishing off there, now you've got your knees bent at the moment, the top leg is going to move away a little. You're going to come up to sit, and I'm making it, the right leg will be moving behind you. So we're coming into our Isle of Man pose. You've got two legs that are bent, and we lift up nice and tall. So we let the shoulders descend down. Now, in this position, we want the pelvis to really be dropping, and we're aiming for a square pelvis. So I've got you here, and I'm talking at you because I appreciate that it sometimes takes us a little bit of time to get that hip to just surrender to the stretch. If your knee is screaming at you, yeah, come out of the exercise. But otherwise, let's see if we can give that hip some time to just release down. Nice deep breath. We'll walk the hands gently forwards and ease into that stretch. Now, if you get there and you do want to deepen into the stretch a little, it changes it slightly. You can allow that right leg, the one that's sort of beside you at the moment, that leg can stretch out behind you. As you stretch the leg behind you, you want to rotate the leg inward so that the knee is now pointing down to the ground. Yeah. And then from there, we're going to lift up nice and tall. Bring that back leg around, and we'll come to a crossed leg position. Good. When you're there, we're just going to take a few nice deep breaths, allowing ourselves to really release, letting go of any tension. And let's just take a little head tip from side to side. So if you don't get any stretch from this position, you can always go for like a half lotus position. I'm going to suggest that you flex your foot as you bring it on top, which doesn't give you as satisfying a half lotus position as a traditional half lotus position, but it's safer on the knee. So that will allow us to really release down into the pelvis and get a good glute stretch. And lovely, lifting nice and tall. Let's change over legs. Now if anybody's feeling ambitious and you want to like hold this wide position in between, it's a marvellous thing. Optional. Yeah. I love it when you guys rise to a challenge. Let's lift up really nice and tall, and then walk in the hands gently forwards. You know there's a rolling back and up from that position, don't you? Oh yeah, we'll get there, yeah. I'm not sure whether we're going to do that today though. I'm not sure whether our backs will thank us for it, but we might have a little bit of a look at rolling like a ball if we have enough time. And then we're lifting up tall. That front leg's going to sweep around, and we should find that we're on the opposite leg. So it might feel a little bit odd once you get there. We're allowing that hip to release on down. Shoulders descend on down the back. That's it, lovely. Nice and deep with the breath, and then we'll bring our weight gently forwards, and if you want to, once you're settled into that position, you can allow the back leg to stretch out and away from you, maybe rotating the knee down so the knee just releases down to the floor. It can be here, but we're just getting into those hips to release them out. And then we're walking ourselves back in. We're going to come for our side leg kicks on the other side. So before you're on your left side, now you should be on your right side, or vice versa, just making sure that you're changing from one side to the other. Hips are on top of one another, shoulders are on top of one another. We take a nice deep breath and we stretch and lengthen both the legs away from us. Lovely. Again, if there's tension in the back or in the neck, then you can always lower the bottom leg. If there's like a pinching feeling in the lower back, just bring the feet slightly forwards. It might be that they're swinging back behind you. Really nice and solid through the tummy. Let's take that little lift and lower. You know, when I put the Facebook live class, when I record it and post it back onto Facebook, it decides which picture should be the starting picture of the film. Let's let that leg move forwards. And I'm just hoping it's not that moment where I've got my legs lifted in the air wide, because that will not be a particularly interesting position for anyone wanting to do Pilates. Might get the wrong impression. Hold it for me there. Keep the legs reaching. Allow the arm to lift up and over. Breathing in as the arm returns back. Good. Keep that going for me. Add the side bend if you want to. Shoulder glides down the back. Arm reaches up and over. Breathing in as we draw that arm back. Yeah, nice. Good. We've got two more here. And from there we'll float the legs down, softening through the knees. Once again, tip the top hip forwards, strengthening across the core muscles will allow the top knee to gently lift and lower. And we lift and lower. We've got three more here. And we'll glue the knees together and allow both the feet to lift and lower. Good. Lift and lower. Lovely. Last two. And floating down from there. Let's take hold of that top foot and we'll stretch the knee away from us. Let the head be nice and heavy, stretching through that thigh, letting the hip be nice and soft. So sometimes I find when I do this quad stretch that my shoulder, the top shoulder, starts to kind of create tension. Just take a moment to check that the shoulder is releasing away as the head releases away, so you're not creating more tension there. And releasing the legs from there. Let's allow both the arms to come forwards. Pop a cushion under your head if you've got one to hand. And then again, we'll take that opening up like a book. Top arm gently opens, eyes are fixed on the hand. And we breathe in as we let the arm return. And again, the top arm gently opens, eyes are fixed on the hand. Breathing in as the arm returns. Keep that going for me, and if you want to, you can add that little chalk circle in, so the fingertips stay connected to the floor. They gently circle around us, keeping connected to the ground, and then gently opening out, and then we draw the arm back in. And again, gently opening out. Lovely. And last one. Good. And then allow yourself to come onto your back. So when you get there, just take a moment to notice whether it's better for you to have a cushion under your head or whether it's better to get rid of the cushion. See how it feels. Some people find that once they're on their back, the chin sort of juts upwards, in which case a cushion's a really good option. So we'll take a nice deep breath. Let's allow the breastbone to release, the collarbones release, and we'll let the shoulders melt down into the ground. We'll let the fingers stretch towards the toes, and let's find a little bit of energy through the arms as we let the fingers stretch down towards the toes. Notice that switches us on into the tummy as the shoulder blades are really energized down. We'll roll the head from side to side and see if we can get that sense of release through the neck. And then bring the head into the center, a gentle rock of the pelvis. Lower back sinks into the floor. We tip the pelvis, we exaggerate the curve in the lower back. Take it through those two extremes. Good. Find in that place where hip bone and pubic bone come to level with one another. Check the rib cage is still softening down into the ground. Now, we're going to take our millimetre foot lifts from here. So we're just going to allow the foot to lift an inch away from the floor. Floating the foot back down. Changing over to the other side. Foot lifts and then floats back down. Keep that going for me. Now it's as if you're resting your feet in soft sand and you're just lifting the footprint up enough that someone could see the impression you left behind. Notice, this is like a micro exercise. Notice if there's any shift in the hip. We want to avoid the shift from side to side. Notice whether you put more pressure on the opposite foot. See if you can avoid putting more pressure into the other side. So it's just the one foot that's lifting and no pressure on the opposite leg. Last one. I'm going to have to finish off on my left side. And release in there. Let the arms lengthen up towards the sky and drop the shoulders down the back. Now we've got that core connection. Take a deep breath for me. As you breathe out, you're going to allow the right arm to go high as the left arm goes low. And then breathe in and allow the arms to come back. Changing over to the other side. Stretch the left arm high, right arm low. Keep that going for me. Now allow your shoulders to stay really descending down into the ground. Take a moment to connect the rib cage down to the floor. Just working into that range of movement. As the right arm extends up and over the head, you're going to allow the left leg to lengthen away from you. So we allow the right arm to extend up and over the head, the left leg stretches away. And we breathe in as the leg returns, changing over to the opposite side. So we do this pattern most of the time. Usually we only work with one arm at a time. And usually I bring you in with the legs first, so it might feel a little bit odd, but hopefully not. Now we're just going to add on, because I'm feeling like a little routine coming on here. So we'll lengthen the leg and the arm away. We'll draw the leg back in, arms reach up, and just take a little arm circle for me, letting the arms, shoulders stay sinking down into the ground. And then we'll change over to the other side. So the left leg stretches away as the right arm goes high. Bringing the arm and the leg back in, taking that little arm circle. Opposite arm to leg extends away. We do of course have to remember which leg we've just done. Tricky. Arms bind that circle. Now I'm thinking I'd like to add in our knee openers. I'm not sure whether it's going to mess our heads up. So we're going to allow the knee to open here with the opposite arm opening out to the side. Draw the leg back in and let the arms circle.
And opposite arm to leg lengthens away. Breath in, let the knee open out to the side. And let those arms circle. Keep that going for me. If you're feeling like you want more challenge, we can allow ourselves to work with our two-legged 100 position. So as the right leg stretches away, we let the left arm draw up and over. Knee opens out to the side. And then we circle through the arms. Opposite arm to leg extends away. Knee opens out to the side. And then if you do want to be ambitious, both legs can just stretch a little way away from you as you circle the arms, and then you draw them back in. One more on each side. Check for me, if you've got two knees lifted, you've got the imprinted spine. If you've got the feet resting on the floor, we've got our neutral spine position. When you've worked evenly on both sides, I want you to bring the knees in towards the chest and give them a good hug. Good. So from there, we're going to allow ourselves to come into a hamstring stretch. We'll allow the left foot to rest down onto the floor, and we'll lengthen the right leg up towards the sky. Let's hold on to our leg around the back of the thigh. If you've got a stretchy band or a dressing gown belt, or any sort of belt, dressing gown belts are rather marvellous, then you can wrap it around the foot and then hold on to the ends. Otherwise, we're holding on to the leg, and hopefully as we become more flexible, the leg will be able to extend. So we'll find more length at the knee. So this is another one that's really good for those of us that have just started running, that are doing lots of walking all of a sudden. See if with each breath we can ease that leg in close to us. So the IT band tends to get really tight with runners, walkers and cyclists. So I think pretty much the majority of us should be doing a little bit of a stretch in the IT band at the moment. So we don't like it, but we're going to do it anyway. So we take that leg just across the midline of the body. So you're just bringing the leg a few inches across. Take a moment to breathe. As you do, you're going to see if you can allow the pelvis or the thigh bone to just really drop down into the pelvis there. Nice and deep with the breath. Good. See if it'll ease a little more. And then bringing that leg back into the centre. Let's release our hands from the leg. If you've got the band, you can just loosen the band off a little bit. And we're going to take 5 little circles with the leg here. So we're taking our single leg circles. We've got the back imprinted into the floor. We may find that the hamstring length restricts the amount of movement we've got in the leg. That's fine. If we need to add a little bit of a bend into the knee, that's fine. Is anyone counting? I make this 4. Number 5. So we'll bend through the knee and we'll return back to neutral spine. And then we'll take our knee circles once again, preferably in the opposite direction, that would be marvellous. But this time, because you're in neutral, it's going to be more of a challenge to keep the hips from tipping from side to side. It's worth working in both ranges of movement though. I think we've got 2 more. And floating that leg back down, changing over to the other side. Bringing that leg in, seeing if we can get a nice sense of length through the hamstring. So apparently Wednesday is numeracy day. Am I right, Gary? So I suppose my mission should be on Wednesday to try to count how many repetitions I'm doing and not just rely on the class to stop when I've said that's enough. Squeezing in through the tummy. Let's find that IT band stretch. So just bringing that leg a little bit across the body. So if your body is saying, woo, that's really tight, I'd suggest that is your body telling you you need to do this every evening. Shoulders glide down the back. It's always a tricky one because it's quite hard to watch the telly in this position. I think it's best to try to find a stretch combination that you can do whilst watching the telly myself. 2 more breaths, letting that hip drop a little bit deeper so the pelvis sinks even lower into the floor and you're feeling as though the energy is gliding down into the pelvis. Coming back into the centre, hips are nice and level. Let's take those 5 circles with that left leg, gently circling around. Notice that your back is pressed into the floor. You've got a really good squeeze in through the tummy. And I cannot emphasize enough, guys, if you're thinking, this doesn't suit my body, this movement, don't do it. Bending at the knee and coming back to neutral spine. Let's take that knee circles in the opposite direction. At the moment, we can't go to our osteopaths or our chiropractors or our physios. So we want to be as mindful of our body, we want to get ourselves moving, we want to be really healthy with our bodies, but we don't want to push it to a point where, you know, we're missing our chiropractors too much. Good, bringing the knees in towards the chest and give them a good hug. So we're going to just take a gentle rock forwards and backwards with the knees. Now I'm going to bring my head up towards my knees and I'm going to start rocking forwards and backwards as if I was the bottom of a rocking horse, really. So we'll allow ourselves to, you can stay there on the floor and rock from side to side, rock forwards and backwards, and that will feel really nice on the back, hopefully. If you're feeling happy to, we just gently ping ourselves up to sitting. Once we're there, we can allow ourselves to take a good stretch into the hip as the knees go nice and wide. If you're feeling like rolling like a ball will be a really nice thing to do to open up through your spine, which I think will be rather marvellous myself, we can allow ourselves to let the feet be just hip distance apart, hands come round the shins. We are going to curl ourselves into a ball-like position. So there's a little tuck under through the tailbone, chin tucks gently in. I'm going to show you the head and neck stay away from the floor. We rock back, we lift on up. So have a little play with that. It's really nice for opening up through the back and really good for those core stabilising muscles. Good. Let's take 3 more in your own time if this is a good option for you. See if you can keep the angle of your knee the same and the angle of the hip the same all the way down and all the way up. Last one. And let's see if we can all hold the toes gently hovering off the floor. Let's let those shoulders glide down the back. We'll allow the chest to lift, lift, lift. Nice and deep with the breath. Now, if we want to, from here, knees go wide, holding onto the ankles. We're lifting really tall. Good. Now, keep breathing for me. Take a breath. Let the right leg open out to the side. Draw on in. Let the left leg open out to the side. Draw on in. Yeah, let's do both. And extending away. Lift, lift, shoulders glide down the back. And releasing down, well done. Bringing yourselves around to a crouch position. And from there we'll gently rock forwards and backwards over the toes. And then bringing ourselves up to standing, pressing the heels into the ground. Let the head be nice and heavy, rolling up through the spine.
comes on top. We'll take a deep breath in, reaching really tall. Breathing out, and we'll let it all go. Give it a good shake out. Good. Give yourselves a round of applause, guys. Well done. So if there's any questions or feedbacks, you do message me. Let me know what you're thinking and anything you want me to work on to for next time. So I'll be back Monday, 9:15. Thanks, Facebookers.